Hello, this is Antonio, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to use the system for writing grammar1. So the first thing we do is log in with the user demo and password demo. We log in and we create a new project. We'll call it LTGF. And we open it and create a new file by clicking up here on LTGF, new file. And we write grammar1. So grammar1, type grammar, okay, and double click it. Grammar1, it's here on the left, and it's open. Grammar1 is the first grammar from the Linguistic Theory and Grammar Formalisms course by Dr. Rosen in Charles University in Prague. So we'll use that, it's in Czech, we'll use that as an example for the visual editor of HPSG that we have here. Okay, so the first thing that we need is a signature. We have it here on the top. We can click edit and then a button plus appears, which we can use for adding new types. So we add a type sign. We click plus and it's created. And then we can add subtypes by adding them to the right. So we have two subtypes for sign. This is word and phrase. Then we have another top level type, which is cat. Cat can be sentence, can be a verb phrase, can be a verb, or it can be a noun. And then a verb can also be two different subtypes. It's a verb in trans for intransitive verb, click plus, and a transitive verb, which is verb transitive verb. Oops, I'm adding that in noun. Have to add that here in verb. If you make a mistake, you can always click the X and remove it. You see, as I added a second type here with the same name, it gets this different style because it means it's a reference. It's a type with two supertypes, but that's for another grammar. We'll just remove it for now. And now we need another type, which is case, which has two subtypes, which are nom for nominative and acc for accusative. If we then click edit again on the top left, we go out of edit mode and we can see this in a more condensed way. Okay, so let's now add some words to the lexicon. We'll add passe first, the verb. Okay. So we see the T here, that means top. It means passe is anything because we haven't told the system yet what it's going to be. But we'll tell it now by clicking edit. And we add a typed feature structure, second button, type word. That's correct. It has a phon, it's a phonological feature, and a cat. And of course the cat, it's a typed feature structure, which is a verb. In traditional HPSG, this would be a type restriction, but this system, if you just write an empty typed feature structure, it interprets it as a feature, as a type restriction, sorry. So if you click OK, you can see that it just displays cat verb, but if you edit it, it lets you add features for convenience and easy editing. So let's now add the phonology of passe. It's a literal, that means just a word, it's passe. Okay, so we have our first word, which is a verb. Let's now add some nouns. This is Peppa. Let's use a trick. We can click edit here and the menu on the left and then copy. Then we have copied this, and in this one we can paste it, so it's faster for us to write it. We change the phonology to Peppa and the cat to noun, and then we can add a feature here because it's a noun, so it needs a case, and the case is in nominative because Peppa is in nominative. Okay, so now we have two words. Now let's just add the last word, which is kozu. We can copy this one first because it's pretty similar, and we paste it here. Paste. We have to change the phonology to kozu and the case to accusative. So now we have our 3 words in HPSG nice feature structures. Now what we need is just some rules to parse a sentence. So let's add rules here with the add button. It's collapsed, so we open it with the clicking on the blue. We can see it's empty rule for now, it's just 2 daughters and a mother, but we can click edit and change the different objects in the rule. So the mother will be of type phrase, and we'll also have a phone, a cat, and then it will have a head daughter to capture the head daughter of the phrase, of the rule, and a non-head daughter. And we'll fill this out later when we have the two daughters. So the left daughter, this is going to be the subject rule, the rule for joining a subject and a verb phrase. So the left daughter it's going to be a noun. Let's not add a type. So the first thing we'll want to have is the phonology, because we want to capture that, and the category cat, which we want it to be a noun. And of course, since we want it to be the subject, it must be in the nominative case. Type feature structure, nominative. Okay. Now we want to capture the phonology, the phone feature of this daughter, so we can propagate it to the mother. So we add a variable here. Click here and variable, just variable. So this makes a new variable. You can actually change the name or something, doesn't really matter. And you can give some value to it here. We could add Peppa, but actually we don't want any value, well, for now, because we just want to capture it. We just want to capture the phonology and then reuse it later, and we'll see how we do that. Let's make this a bit bigger, and then let's add the other daughter, which is the verb phrase. We'll also have a phonology that we're going to capture, and a cat. And in this case, the category, the cat, can be 2 different things. So we'll add a disjunct. It's here on the bottom of the list. Disjunct has 2 options. The first option can be a verb phrase, and the other option can be a verb intransitive, an intransitive verb in trans. So these are the 2 options that we have now for intransitive and transitive sentences, and basically that's it. So now let's add the phonology to the mother. The phonology of the mother is the phonology, the phone of the first daughter and the phone of the second daughter. So we could add a variable here and then change its name to 0, but this won't actually work. So what we have to do, because we want it to be the actual same value, the actual same variable, is we have to copy this variable from here, from the left. We click copy, and then we paste it in here. And now we could see, if we added some literal value here, we can see that since it's the same value in the 2 variables, it's being changed at the same time. So that's what we want. We want them to be bound variables. We want them to be bound to the same value, so that you can achieve by copying the variable in the visual editor. Now, for now, let's just remove that, because we don't want to constrain the value of the variable. We just want it to be the same, the phone of the mother and the phone of the daughter. And now the phone of the mother also has a second element to the list, which is of course the phone of the second daughter. Paste. So you can see this is a list embedded in another list, because lists are recursive data structures. If you go out of edit mode, the recursiveness is hidden from the user, so it's easier to see. but in the edit mode, of course, you need the power to see that and to modify it. Okay, so now the cat of the is just it's a sentence because it's a full sentence with the subject. And now we have to capture the two daughters, the head daughter and the non-head daughter. So how do we do that? We need them to be variables. They are not for now. So there's a trick. We can copy them first. We click copy on the left daughter. So we store it, and then we remove it. Then we make a new variable, and as the value we paste what we had copied. It's very important to copy it first, because if you remove it and haven't copied, then it's removed forever, you lose it, so you have to type it again. So we do this again, we copy it, remove it, we make a variable, and we paste the value. Of course, we could have made the variables first, but if you forget to make the variable, it's very easy to turn a value into a variable, but by just copying it and then doing the same steps that I just did. And now that we have the variables, we have to copy them and add them to the mother. So the first daughter is the non-head daughter because it's the subject, so we paste it here. You can toggle it so that you don't see it, because we have it here, we don't need to see it. And we copy the other one and paste it here. The second daughter is the head daughter because it's the one with the verb, and we toggle it. So the first rule is finished. Let's go out of edit mode, and you have it here. You can play around with all the visuals, collapse the different things. If you don't want to see the tops in the phonology, you can just collapse the variables, and you can see the disjunction here. Okay, so now let's make the other rule, the rule for the verb capturing the direct object. We open it and we edit it. So now we can actually, to go faster, we can copy this one and go here and paste it. Now the variables, of course, are all wrong, because the variables belong to this other rule. So just remove them and make them again. You could probably keep them, but I mean, maybe the system will go crazy, so let's just do it like this. And now let's add the two daughters. So the first daughter, in this case, will be the verb. Okay, first, let's remember to change this. It's not a sentence, it's a verb phrase, because that's we're going to have a verb phrase, not a sentence. So we change it before we forget later. So we add the phone to the left daughter, and the cat to the left daughter, and the cat will just be a transitive verb trans, and the phone will just add a variable to capture it. And then the second daughter, well, in this case, let's make the variable first, because I remembered. Now we make type feature structure. Actually, we don't want it to be typed, we just want to restrict the features. We don't care what the type of the thing is. We could care, I mean, it's just design decision. We capture the phone, and the cat, in this case, is a noun because it's a direct object, and it has a case, an accusative case, because that's what the case for direct objects usually is. So we have it here. Let's turn this into a variable again by using the trick. Copy, remove, it went here, variable, and paste. Okay, we now have the two daughters, accusative, phonology, and everything. So now let's copy the phone of the left daughter and use it as the first phone of the phone of the mother. We copy the second phone and we put it here. So that's it for the phone. And now we just copy 3 is the head daughter, the left daughter is the head daughter now because it has the verb. We hide it. And then the second daughter is the non-head daughter. The numbers really don't matter. Actually, you could maybe, if you want it to be clearer, you can change the name here to non-H, and you can see that the name is changed here too. because it's the same variable, the value is bound. Doesn't really matter, it's just a name, and it will actually disappear during unification, but it can make things clearer. So you can do it like that if you want. And here is the rule. So we now have the two rules. Doesn't really matter this. It's just an implementation. This feature, bug, however you want to call it, doesn't really matter. It won't change. This means that the type is anything, so it's just the same. Anyway, so we have the grammar1, the full grammar1 here, and we want to test it now. So let's add some sentences. So we click on LTGF on the top left, and we click on new file. This one is a text file, and we'll call it sentences.txt, for example. Double click it and add the two sentences that we want to. So the first one, the intransitive one, and the second one, the transitive one, for example. And now we need a configuration file, new file, run.yml. This is a bit more boring, it's implementation detail, but you have to write it to let the system know what it has to do with the grammar and everything. So I have it over here, I can copy and paste it. So we just have three things. We have a sentences file, we have a HPSG file which is called grammar1, which we just wrote, and then we want to display it. So we make a pipeline here in the connect section, which is just takes the sentences, runs them through the parser, and then displays them. You can copy this, it's just a boring implementation detail, but it has to be done. So now that we made this, we can click on the LTGF button on the top left again and click on run. And we can see the log here, the grammar was loaded, the parser was built, and the two sentences were parsed correctly. And we have them here in all visual detail. You have the derivation tree and all the HPSG objects in each of the sentences. So you can play visually with it, and you can see that Peppa pase kozu, and the cat is sentence, the header. Of course this is grammar1, so it's very simple, but that's it. So I think that's it. So we have a kind of complete system. We have a lexicon, we have a signature, we have some rules. We have these junction objects, which are a bit tricky to implement, but they've been made. There's mostly everything that we need. There's just some little things missing, like principles, but that will be for the next video. So for now, that's everything, and thank you and bye bye. Try this at home if you want.